Welcome to your Prepp Talk. Good morning, this fine Tuesday morning, November 21st, 2023. Here we are, getting inching closer and closer day by day to war really coming in our footsteps. We got a few things to talk about today, and we have a viewer question that we're going to look at as well. If you're watching the news, you're not getting all the information because they're not telling you anything. Okay? It is my advice that you get on the internet and you look at reputable websites. Okay? They're going to give you the news. Also, the BBC is zero F's given. They don't care. They tell the truth. They tell it raw. Okay? So anything you can get from the BBC, you can pretty much guarantee that's what's going on. But the United States media, they want to keep us with our rose-colored glasses on. You know, that's the thing. They want to keep us with our rose-colored glasses on. Keep us consuming. Keep us trying to pay our bills. Keep us focused elsewhere. Okay? So, let's just get to it. Let's get to see what's on the desktop today. So the Financial Times is telling NATO to launch biggest military exercise since Cold War. They launched 41,000 troops to test the readiness to repel a Russian invasion. Russia has pretty much made it clear they are not stopping with the Ukraine. They're not. So NATO, Germany, and other countries are starting to say, hey, I think we better get ready. And mainly because they know the United States is not going to be able to protect them. We are already spread over like 5 or 6 different conflicts at this present time. Just yesterday, a key Israeli military base was destroyed by a Hezbollah rocket strike. Did you hear about it on the news? I didn't hear about that on the news. You see what I'm saying? This rocket attack from Lebanon has hit the IDF's Bayronit base in northern Israel, the IDF confirmed on Monday. Footage was posted to social media. Rockets were fired at the base. It was confirmed. No injuries were reported, but footage shows the base was badly damaged. Monday's attack reportedly began with the IDF striking first, with Israeli military saying it had shelled Lebanon with artillery to prevent Hezbollah from approaching the area, according to the Times. A short while later, a number of rockets were fired from Lebanon at the Arab Al-Armshay and Baram communities, as well as the Bayronit army base. In response, the IDF said fighter jets, combat helicopters, and tanks struck Hezbollah sites in southern Lebanon. And major damage. Now, no injuries. So this was okay, when I read these, and this is what I want you to keep in mind as you read things. As I read articles like this, no injuries. You see the damage. This was planned. They evacuated people. They knew it was coming. War is nothing but a political game They don't want to kill the people so much as they want to immobilize everything. Okay? They want the people to stay alive so that they can take over the people and the people can then work for them. Okay? Now, in this case, we're also talking about genocide as well. So there are people that are being taken and killed, but in that case, it was not. So that's what I see when I'm reading articles like this. Craziness, craziness, craziness. So the U.S. must be ready for simultaneous wars with China and Russia. And this is an October 12th article. The United States must prepare for possible simultaneous wars with Russia and China by expanding its conventional forces, strengthening alliances, and enhancing its nuclear weapons modernization programs, a congressionally appointed bipartisan panel said on Thursday. Do you see? Do you see? We're weak. We're weak. We're spread thinly. And these other nuclear powers know it. And they're going to take advantage. They're going to take advantage. Okay, so in the past, the United States has been invaded several times, okay? War of 1812, we were invaded. Mexican-American War, Mexican Border War, and World War II were all invasions on the U.S. In 2023, a four-star general predicted a war between the U.S. and China by 2025, and I agree with that. I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to begin in 2024. The U.S. was classified as an inocracy. Okay, task force may have considered the U.S. at high risk of political instability and violence. Can war happen on the U.S. soil? Absolutely it can. Absolutely it can. We already know that China is buying up all kinds of farmland with the help of people like Bill Gates, okay, who are all in cahoots with them. China expert predicts where the U.S. will see the next war start. The one thing that we know is that China is making fast preparations for war now. The great U.S.-China tech war. Mark Milley, a chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, just about 24 hours ago said all of this was overheated rhetoric, the way he put it, but the point is, China is preparing to kill Americans, and we've got to prepare to defend ourselves. And the Defense Department is making slow, really slow, molasses slow preparations to oppose China. This is the typical MO of the United States. Typical. We fail to act. We don't take things seriously. We think we're immune. We think things aren't going to happen to us because of whatever reason, okay? Yeah, we saw it with the pandemic. It took us forever to take that seriously. Forever to take that seriously. Until we finally did. And then there was no choice but to lock everyone down. Had we took it seriously from the beginning, everyone wouldn't have had to lock down like we did. But we waited too long. So, Chang's comments were made just before an NBC News report revealed the Chinese spy balloon. Remember the Chinese spy balloon, which crossed the entire length of the United States. Earlier this year, gathered sensitive information as it flew over American military sites. Do you see? Do you see? Let's look at that January date. You know, when everybody ran into that government building. I'm not going to say the words. You know what I'm talking about. If you watch the Netflix special on that January incident. Now, keep in mind that Netflix special is from the eyes of the government, okay? The police were saying when they were interviewed, I can't believe that the glass was not bulletproof. We all assumed the windows were bulletproof. The windows were unbreakable. We all assumed that we could lock that place up tight. No. And that's a typical representation of the U.S. government and how seriously it takes everything. And you know what? It goes from the top all the way down. I worked in the county government, okay? And I can tell you it's the same problem. The commissioners, the county commissioners, and I know it's not just my county, so I'm not just going to say it's my county. I have no doubt that it's everyone's county. The commissioners do not take anything seriously. When the judges came in wanting to talk to the commissioners about shutting things down because of COVID and anything that was happening, masks need to be mandated. The commissioners in my county are residing commissioner at the time showed up to the meeting wearing a Darth Vader mask because that's how seriously he took the mask mandates. So it's not just the federal, it goes all the way down. Fact of the matter is, Americans are complacent. They feel like that's not going to happen to me. That can't happen to me. Think of all the people you know that are like, I know people who are like that. So that's why you've got to take care of yourself. You're not going to be able to count on the government to help you out. The Great Reset. We first heard about the Great Reset in 2020. June of 2020, this article says. And the Great Reset is coming up again. I have a suspicion of how it's going to go down. But first, what is the Great Reset? Okay, so you have heard talk about digital currency and everything going digital. Surely you have, okay? And there's been some resistance, a little bit of resistance. But the fact of the matter is, it's now closer than ever that it's going to happen. They want to take control of everything, okay? And they're going to use the guise of illegal border crossings to get everybody to jump on board. Now let me explain. We're talking digital currencies, digital passports, everything digital, everything digital. By allowing illegals to cross the border, okay, like they know they're doing, and they know that it's going to cause violence and chaos. They know it's going to be bad. They know it's going to be bad. They're counting on it to be bad because they want both sides, the right and the left, to join together for the Great Reset, okay? And they're going to use this guise of tracking illegal immigrants in our country. They're going to use that guise to force us into this digital reset. What it means, you won't be able to spend 1 penny in this country without it being able to be tracked. Not one. You won't be able to buy a piece of bubble gum without the government knowing. Do you see what I'm saying? Will it help with the illegal immigration? It will help find people who are illegal. Maybe because they won't be able to spend money, but that's not what that's not the goal. Okay? The digital tracking systems. Everyone will be involved with it. Everyone will have to be involved with it. You won't have a choice. So there won't be any physical money anymore. And I think that day's coming, and I think we're going to see that uh, if war does not prevent it from happening any sooner, I think, or any later. I think you're going to be seeing that definitely starting in 2024. However, war could change that, or war could maybe boost that. I'm not sure how that will go. China already what does China have? That ranking system, that financial popularity system, or whatever. That's no joke. You're gonna walk around with your credit score on your forehead. You can't do anything, and they have the ability to cut you off. Do you understand? They have the ability to cut you off. It's kind of no joke. I mean, this is kind of, I don't think people are thinking about how close we are to this happening and what this means. They will control everything. Everything will be controlled. Okay? It's not it is not a cool thing. We already are tracked in so many ways, but you still have the ability to go off grid. And that's what they want to get rid of. They don't want any more off grid. No one's off grid. If you're on US soil, they want to track you. So here we are. And digital tracking systems are the way to go. The only way you could be is completely off grid, to where you don't have to buy anything. But that's hard to do, because even if you own land, you have to pay taxes. Okay? So if you're living, it's just really hard to find somewhere you're going to live without having to at least pay taxes on your land. I don't know. But yeah, the Great Reset's a real thing, and it's coming soon. And there's not really a whole lot anybody's going to be able to do about it, other than voting in the right people. Okay? That is our only recourse. That's our only recourse, is that we vote in the people that are going to make the decisions we want to make. We need to get rid of this two-party system. We need to go independent. We need to bring in new blood. Okay? I don't know how worse it needs to get before people understand that. So what are the 6 things I learned from doomsday prepping? Preppers are not who you think they are. They are a multitude of people. You never know who is a prepper. Also keep in mind the government's prepping too. They learned a lot from COVID as well, just like we did. Okay? They learned how hard it was going to get stuff once the supply chains broke down. So they're buying stuff up. They're your competition. They're buying stuff up right with you. You're always going to miss one thing. You can't prep for everything. You can't do everything. All you can do is the best you can do. Okay? Now here's the thing. We're not just prepping for doomsday. Look at the folks in Iceland. Eruption could happen with just 30 minutes warning, as magma is they have evacuated many of their towns. She said the decreasing earthquake activity over the last 24 hours could be a sign that the magma has reached very close to the Earth's surface. So this is the kind of thing that you have to prep for, and you have to be prepared to bug out of your house. So if you're in an area like California or Florida or a coastal area, you need to think about evacuation scenarios and what you've got to take, what you're going to take. Now, I'm in the central U.S. The likelihood of me having to evacuate for whatever reason is other than war, is pretty low. I'm not going to get any tsunamis. I'm not going to get any... We can get an earthquake at the New Madrid, but even that's not going to affect where I am. all that much. It will slightly, but not all that much. What's going to affect me there is supply chain issues. But major earthquakes, California, tsunamis, things of that nature, hurricanes. These are things you've got to prep to bug out for. So it's not just prepping for war. It's not just prepping, for doomsday. Okay? Just always remember that, and this is what I always remember. I always remember that in Salina, it took them 3 weeks. 3 weeks to get supplies into Salina after the F7 tornado went through there. Okay? So, that's what I'm talking about. So you've got to think through. So we're looking at that situation with a tornado, and say a tornado comes through and wipes my house, even like wipes it to the ground. Am I going to have access to my stuff in the cellar? Maybe not. Do I have stuff somewhere else? That's the idea. You have stuff elsewhere beside your house. And here's another thing that some people are talking about. Be careful who you speak to about your things, okay? Be careful who you tell about your preps, what you're prepping, how you're prepping, and how much you're prepping. I know that being privy to talks regarding, say, a county scenario, if we were to have to lock our borders, there was talk that they would go around collecting supplies from everyone in the community to generalize it into one area, the grocery store, and then equally hand that out. Now, did you understand what I said? They're going to come to my house, and somebody and whoever else, they're going to come, and they're going to gather all my preps out of my cellar, and they're going to take it to the store to distribute evenly throughout the community. And I politely said, over my dead body. Then you can have it. But it's going to, yeah. Don't let people know too much. Don't let people know too much. You can say, oh yeah, I got some water put back. I got, a week's worth put back. Never give your whole game plan. Okay? Never give your whole game plan. So last week, Tracy Kinnison, 8935, asked this. Could you also, because we talked about, in last week's episode, we talked about canning meat and having canned meat on your shelf. And she said, could you also maybe have smoked jerky or smoke your meat, or does that also have a shelf life? Yes. Smoked meat and beef jerky, dehydrated meat, does definitely still have a shelf life. Now, that shelf life depends on how it's treated, okay? Now, if it's unopened in, say, a manufactured sealed container, so you bought it from someone, you probably got 1 to 2 years on the shelf, okay? If you made it yourself and you vacuum seal it at home, you've probably got 3 to 6 months, okay? If you store it in the refrigerator and it's open, you've got 1 or 2 weeks. Unsealed, stored in the pantry, first few months. Now. Opinions vary, okay? There are some, if you do research, that say If you have it, if you've properly prepared it and have it properly vacuum sealed in Mylar bags with oxygen, anti-oxygen, they're little things that you put in there that sucks the oxygen out. If you do that, you can get maybe up to 10 years, they're saying. Now, you can freeze it, but again, if you're freezing it, you're taking that chance that, if the electricity goes down, you're not going to have a freezer. Always know when you're choosing to freeze anything that you're storing, know that things can happen. If you lose electricity, you're going to lose that freezer. Fact of the matter is, when you open your jerky, smell it. What's it smell like? What's it look like? The whole issue with beef jerky and things like that, it's the same issue we have with nuts, and that is it contains oils. Okay? You can't store nuts more than a few months. I think a year, maybe. Because what happens is the oil goes rancid. Okay, same happens with the beef jerky. So even though it's dehydrated, you can't take the oil out. That's what's going to make it go bad, is that oil content. So I would say in a rotating pantry, absolutely throw some jerky in there and use it and rotate it out and replace it. I keep a rotating pantry. I'm using the things in my pantry. Now, there are some things that are there for long storage, powdered milk and things like that. But the majority of my pantry is a rotating pantry. So I use it and I replace it. So keeping beef jerky in a situation like that, I'd say go for it. That will make sure you have some kind of a meat product on your shelf. Again, just rotate it out and use it over the year and then replace it as you use it. So anyway, that's all we've got for today. Listen, this war thing is real. I don't think the American people truly understand how close we are. Okay? Come on. You need to be prepared. You need to be paying attention. You need to be aware of where you are. You need to figure out what's going to happen if you go to work and things go down at work. Are you going to have a way home? Or are you going to have a way to get home? What if the highways get jammed? Do you have alternate ways to go? Do you have places to meet? Do your kids, if they're coming home alone after school, if things go down and you're still at work, do they know what to do? So those are the things you need to be preparing for and watching for. Keep track of what's going on with this war. We're in it already. Make no mistake. We are in it already. How far in it are we going to go? And while we're out saving the world, who's going to come knocking on our door? Okay? That's what I need you to be thinking about. Anyway, that's all I've got for you this week. Thanks for joining me. Please like and subscribe. And listen, if you have any questions or any topics you would like me to cover next week, please put them down below in the comments. And I will read your comment on next week's podcast and we'll discuss your question. Anyway, don't be scared. Be prepared. Nana Prepp out.